At last, there's been an increasing number of spiritual and ethereal beings reportedly being seen in houses, as well as caught on camera in buildings all across the globe. Have you ever seen a ghost? Well, what if the ghost that people are seeing is you? It's all happening. It's all happening. It's all happening. It's all happening. What's happening, everybody? I am Carlos Santiago. Today, I have a topic for you that I personally never heard anyone discuss. I admit this might get too deep for some, but if you like the supernatural and you like the paranormal, let's get this work. Let's start with ghosts. Most people believe that ghosts are spirits of people who have died long ago that still seem to linger around for some reason. Some common thoughts are maybe that they died prematurely before they carried out their life purpose or mission. Maybe they were murdered and left their family behind, but they refused to part from them because their bond was so tight, or they still had engagements they need to keep. Whatever the reason, we still don't have clear answers as to why some spirits of people that have passed on still appear on the earthly realm. It is more common for spirits of those who have been murdered or those with a grudge to come back and appear at the site of death, years or even centuries later. Now, let's get into astral projection and astral travelers. If you're unfamiliar, astral projection is the act of one spirit leaving one's body to venture into a dimension of the spirit realm. This can be done intentionally or unintentionally. I have a few incredible stories about this I'd like to share one day, but the short is, someone who astral travels can go anywhere in the world that they want with intention alone. They can leave their body and visit a friend or family the next town over, maybe to Ukraine, or for some, to deep space. The astral travelers can tell you details of what you were doing on a specific time and day, what you were watching, details on a private conversation you were having, and it goes on. If that sounds like invasion of privacy, well, you're right. The truth is, in the realm of the spirit, nothing is private. But if it makes you feel better though, there are highly esteemed Christian prophets today who can read your thoughts as Jesus did. Feel better now? Yeah. Oh, me neither. As far as astral traveling is concerned, the reality is anyone can do it, and you may already have. Some believe that some of the lucid dreams that we have are really an astral experience, unintentionally. When you are dreaming, there are many that believe that this is a channel or gateway to the spirit realm. Okay, let's look at this at a fundamental level. Your thoughts are the language of the spirit. The Bible says God knows your prayer request before you ask because he knows your thoughts. There was even accounts where Jesus knew someone's thoughts as well. Now, there is debate whether or not the devil and demons can read your mind. However, in the Bible, there are indications that Satan could not view Job's thoughts. And almost all across the board, most deliverance ministers in the US believe that demons can't read our minds. They can only implant thoughts. But I do know some ministers that believe that certain high-ranking demons that cause mental illnesses can. Regardless, just know that your thoughts are a language of the spirit. When you hear stories about people who astral travel and talk to other ethereal beings, their mouths aren't even opening. Sometimes when people see angels on earth and the angel has a word for them, the angels don't even open their mouth. In the spirit, everything is telepathic. I'm not saying that there won't be instances where some entities, good or bad, may actually open their mouth to talk, but generally speaking. Okay, since our thoughts are language or frequency in the spirit, where do our thoughts come from? Our brain, right? Or at least our brain is the antenna to tap into that consciousness, or it generates that frequency where our thoughts reside. The reason I say that is because there's been scientific tests done on people where machines are able to read their thoughts without the connectors physically touching their brain, but a few inches above. So this suggests that not all thoughts are stored in the physical brain. However, if you damage the part of your brain where that transducer interacts with the consciousness grid, so to speak, then that's where you may experience memory loss, etc. So when you dream, where do our dreams come from? Our brain, right? or at least that is the antenna to access where these dreams are created. This idea is also consistent with holy and evil entities being able to influence our dreams, because it's all taking place in the same level of spiritual domain or consciousness field that our brains are tapping into. Come on, someone drop a mind-blown emoji to that. Bars. Now, being that humans are greater than what society leads us to believe, we have access to things such as astral projection and remote viewing. Remote viewing is the act of gathering information about an unseen, non-local target. Columbia University says it this way: remote viewing, known as extrasensory perception (ESP), is the ability of human beings to perceive information and imagery of remote geographical targets. In plain words, humans can use their innate ESP abilities to mentally travel to any coordinates and determine what's going on in that area without ever stepping foot over there. During the Cold War, the US and Soviet Union used their best remote viewers to gain an advantage on the enemy. After 9/11, it was even reported that Osama bin Laden's final hiding spot was tracked down by means of remote viewing by CIA intelligence, and we all know how that ended. The CIA still employs plenty of remote viewers today and is still determined that anyone can do it. They just need practice. I'm going to play you a short clip of a girl explaining her experience trying to remote view a top secret base.
A fun story, in one of the times that I explored actually the base in Antarctica, they had psychic soldiers. So when I remote view, I'm never usually seen by humans or soldiers.
But they can see you.
So they had these soldiers who were also remote viewing the base, I guess to protect it from remote viewers like me. And this one ended up seeing that I was, going through the halls of this Antarctic base, and he went like this, and he kicked me all the way out of the base, and he proceeded to follow me to figure out who I was, if I was belonging to a government.
Why are you here?
Exactly. Right. And so I had to kind of pop in and out of many different locations to kind of lose him. But that, there's been some moments very similar to that have freaked me out a little bit, where I'm like, ooh, I got into a position where I shouldn't have been.
Okay, my personal views on this is that she was not remote viewing. She was astral projecting, since she could see other people in the spirit, and they could see her. I could be wrong, but standard remote viewing only puts your consciousness in other areas, not your body. Okay, so let's summarize real quick. Thoughts are the language of the spirit. Our thoughts can be interpreted by modern technology without touching our brain, proving this to be so. Spiritual entities can influence our thoughts. Dreams are a spiritual channel or gateway. Now, being that our minds aren't just contained within our brain and our spirits aren't just contained within our body, this means that we can access other areas non-locally without ever leaving our bedroom. Now hear me, I'm not promoting that you go out and do this, but this is just how we were designed. So take up your issues with God. God also gave humans other hidden traits that seem like superpowers that many are too ashamed or afraid to discuss. Think of it like this. When you pray for someone who lives far away and they feel the effects of your prayer, what just happened? You were able to have an effect on someone by means of thought and intention without ever leaving the comfort of your home, because thought and intention flows along the grid of the spiritual roads. This is what makes distance healing possible. Now here's the crazy part about all this. When you astral project, sometimes people can see you, but you don't appear in your physical form like you do now. You appear in your spiritual or ethereal form, since it's your spirit. But people that know you can see it's you because it still looks like you. So if people saw my astral body, I'd probably be wearing a hat or a beanie, because not everyone can see you. Again, this goes back to who God has graced to see in this realm. There are those who are born with spiritual sight, but to be honest, it can be trained and you can practice like anything else. But the church doesn't tell you that, possibly due to lack of knowledge or understanding. They just let you think only the gifted can see. So my point is, when you see a ghost, it may be someone that you know or don't know, astral traveling in your neighborhood, in your house, in your workplace, whatever. Typically, beings in the astral or ghostly realm appear the same. So when you see a ghost, see if it's someone that you recognized or if they're wearing modern clothing. So let's understand the differences between seeing a ghost, demonic spirit, or astral traveler. A demonic spirit is pretty easy to spot. They look very dark, flowy, shadowy, could be a shadow figure, or sometimes worse. You'll know it when you see it. Not all ghosts or spirits of those who have passed on are demonic entities. In the Bible, Moses and Prophet Elijah appeared to Jesus on a mountain, and they had been dead for over 1,000 years. Granted, sometimes spirits of the dead are just lingering, but we don't have definitive answers about this. However, God may allow a dead relative to reappear to you for closure. I have heard this happen in different church communities. Now, I don't think that it is always a familiar spirit, because why would an evil spirit come to bring you comfort and encouragement after someone passed away, then disappear forever with no agenda? It makes no logical sense if their whole point is to deceive and entrap you somehow. However, if the spirit of the dead keeps reappearing to you, it is 100% demonic spirit. Sorry to tell you. Then there are the ghosts of the dead still lingering around, which I have a personal story about what's going on in my own neighborhood that I'll share soon. But these ghosts are still wearing the clothing of their time period, but they just look spiritual or ghostly. If you see a ghostly figure and it looks human, the biggest clue it is an astral traveler is that they'll actually be hovering or flying, not walking. They may try to talk to you or ask you for help, but more on that in my follow-up video. Or the astral traveler may actually try to hide or fly away as soon as they realize that you can see them. You may even think that you're having hallucinations, but you aren't. So now you can see that when you see a ghost or spiritual being, they may not be dead. They could be an astral traveling friend or foe. Could be a witch assigned to you. It could be your crazy ex still stalking you. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. I'm just kidding, of course. Well, unless they know how. So you aren't crazy if you see a ghost. You likely aren't hallucinating. There just isn't people giving language or explanation to these kind of things. So I felt I needed to share it. I have a follow-up video to this that ties up some loose ends called Christians and Astral Projection. So if you're a Christian engaging in spiritual warfare, you're not going to want to miss this. So I hope you learned something. Send this to a friend, send this to a foe. Just don't send it to an ex, just in case. Like and subscribe for more, and I'll catch you next time.